Hello everyone, my name is Sahil and I welcome you all at Unacademy Important Articles of the Day. So guys, in this session, we pick the best of the articles which are quite relevant for UPSC exam, both prelims and mains. And हम लोग यहाँ पे अलग अलग sources को cover करते हैं. For example, in today's session, we are going to cover 4 sources: Indian Express, PIB, Hindustan Times, and in today's session in total हम लोग 4 topics को discuss करेंगे. चलिए डिस्कशन स्टार्ट करते हैं बट बिफोर दैट आई वुड लाइक टू ब्रीफली टेल यू अबाउट अनअकैडमी यूपीएससी सीएससी सब्सक्रिप्शंस. So you can avail plus and iconic subscription, and both of the subscriptions you can avail at multiple package options starting 36 month subscription, 24 month subscription, 18 month subscription, and all these subscription are available at a flat 10% discount if you use code Sahil29. And now the reason why you should choose Unacademy, because here you get widest choice of educators, flexibility to change your courses, unlimited view on lectures, dedicated doubt solving sessions will be there which will help you in carrying a guided preparation, printed comprehensive notes, end-to-end preparation which will take care of all the stages of exam, prelims, mains and interview. Then live mentorship and daily answer practice for mains is the most important and added feature of Unacademy GS courses. Now we are starting with Arambh batch, and Arambh batch will be a dedicated batch for 2024. ये batch start होने वाला है January 12 से. This will be a English batch, that is a bilingual batch. You can enroll in the Arambh as well as Raftar batch, जो भी होगा English batch, and this batch has started from January 5th. You can enroll in them, and all of these courses are available at 0% EMI option, because at Unacademy we believe that paying capacity should not be a constraint for quality learning. You can give a call at this number and my team will be connected with you and they will guide you with bare minimum formalities. चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं. सो फर्स्ट आर्टिकल जो हम लोग लेने वाले हैं दैट इज फ्रॉम इंडियन एक्सप्रेस न्यूज़पेपर. What are the regulations which have been announced for foreign universities in India by UGC? Now, this particular article will be very important for GS paper number 2, issues related to education sector. So, चलिए आर्टिकल में चलने से पहले थोड़ा सा एक बार हम लोग ब्रीफ बैकग्राउंड समझने की कोशिश करते हैं, विच इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. So guys, if I give you some of data, we find this particular thing that a lot of brain drain has happened from India. And in this particular direction, I just want to highlight one particular report from Bureau of Immigration. And according to Bureau of Immigration, nearly 5 lakh Indian students went abroad for education in 2022. अभी जब ये एक आउटसाइड माइग्रेशन हो रहा है, it becomes a very potent issue with respect to the brain drain. We know this particular thing, that best of the best brains of India, they go outside India particularly for education, and then they avail employment opportunities on those countries, and because of that India is not able to take advantage of its demographic dividend. India's demographic dividend is migrating outside. Now, the initial factor which attracts this demography of India, it's quality education that is available in the other countries. Now guys, if I tell you, basically in India, recently QS World University Ranking 2023 was announced. Okay, QS World University Ranking 2023, and in top 200 ranking, we had just 3 institutions. Not even a single institution was there in top 100 ranking. So therefore, these premier institutions located in Western Europe, located in North America, they attract Indian youth and they migrate there. So to tackle this particular thing, we have proposed that the foreign institutions branches should be opened in India so that our youth don't go there and they can get quality education within India. In this direction, we have taken multiple steps. For example, draft foreign education bill was introduced in 1995, which aimed to invite these foreign universities to open their campuses, but this did not got passed. This bill did not got passed. Then after that, what happened? In 2006, there was one more draft that came in order to facilitate the foreign universities campuses in India, but it did not got passed. Then next, what happened? In 2010, Basically, foreign education institution bill, again, it was introduced, but it did not got passed in 2010 as well. So finally, in 2020, new education policy or national education policy, which came, it provided that the government of India, Ministry of Education, will try to bring foreign educational institution in India, their campuses will try to open. And now finally, in this particular direction, regulations have been introduced by UGC. So we are going to see those regulations. So basically guys, as we talk about the regulations, these regulations are facilitated by an organization, that is UGC, University Grants Commission, University Grants Commission. And as we have discussed already, it is a part of national education policy to facilitate quality education in to quality higher education in India. Now, first of all guys, for this particular thing, it has been provided that number one, foreign universities which have ranking among 500 global universities, they can apply for opening a campus in India. So first condition is there that a university, for example Harvard, fine, Stanford, okay, the universities which have in top 500 their ranking, they can apply. Second thing is that they need to have credible reputation in their home jurisdiction. They should have a proven track record of academic excellence, placements and quality education. Only then they'll be allowed to open foreign campuses. Now, how this process will be going on, what are the recommendations that have come in this particular direction? So first of all, there will be a standing committee. A standing committee will be in UGC, and this standing committee will first of all invite proposals from universities. For example, Stanford University, let's say, want to open a campus in India. So Stanford University will send a proposal, and the proposal will be received by this standing committee. Now this standing committee will look in that application, will see credentials of that institution, reputation of that institution, the type of courses that university is providing, what will be impact of those courses if they are introduced in India. All these particular things will be screened by UGC standing committee, and they have to clear a proposal within 45 days, within 45 days. And if standing committee clears that proposal in 45 days, then within next 45 days, UGC will give its approval. So in total 90 days, the approval will be cleared. So this is one of the most important feature of this policy, as there is a swift approval process that has been envisaged. Firstly, when the proposal will be given, the principal approval of 10 years will be given. It means they'll be given the permission for 10 years that they can operate. After that, it can be extended if they have, the university has been able to provide quality education. Then next thing, that such institutions which will be coming in India after getting such approval, number one, they can evolve their own admission process. Okay, for example, they want to admit students on the basis of a test, on basis of some interview, on basis of marks, or if they want to come out with another process, they will be free to have their own admission process. Secondly, they'll be able to repatriate funds to home jurisdiction. So under FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, these institutions will be provided facilities, will be provided permission that they can send back fund to their home jurisdiction, whatever country from which they come. Next, these institutions will be given autonomy in deciding fee structure, as they are focusing on quality education. So they will not be restricted with some fees restrictions, they'll be free. No cap limits on fees will be there. And this happens to be a very important aspect of autonomy. Happens to be a very important aspect of autonomy. Now, guys, when we talk about the concept of autonomy, there is Gajendra Gadkar Committee. Gajendra Gadkar Committee was constituted in 1970s, and Gajendra Gadkar Committee provided autonomy means not legal autonomy but academic autonomy, which means university or higher education institution should have independence in terms of deciding the courses that they want to start, pedagogical structure, curriculum designing. Okay, so institutional autonomy happens to be a very long pending demand, and now it's being given to these foreign institutions that will be opened up. Then they'll also have autonomy to recruit the faculty They can recruit Indian faculty or any foreign faculty. Fine. Then moving on, next thing that has been provided by this UGC regulation is that they cannot start online or open distance learning courses. Only offline courses are something that they have to start. And secondly, the qualifications that will be awarded, the degrees that will be awarded, they should be equivalent to those awarded by institutions in their own country of origin. So they cannot award some substandard or below standard qualifications. So qualitative aspect needs to be taken care of. Fine. Then next thing, how this particular development is going to benefit. So basically, National Education Policy 2020 has very specifically provided that it aims to increase gross enrollment ratio in higher education. As of now, we have reached nearly 100% enrollment ratio in primary school education. But as the students transition from primary to secondary, senior secondary, and ultimately to higher educational institutions, colleges, graduation, enrollment comes down. And if I tell you the present data, so presently gross enrollment ratio, it is around 27%. It's around 27%. NEP has aimed that will increase to 50% by 2030. And as we need to increase it from 27% to 50%, nearly we want to double. We need to have capacities in higher educational institutions, and their foreign universities will be able to help, will be able to accommodate such increased enrollment ratios. Moreover, it will also provide wide ranging of options in terms of course, in terms of educational institutions, etc. Next thing, guys, when we talk about Indian universities, I have told you that only 3 universities were there in the QS World University ranking of 2023 that was announced. And when we talk about the ranking of 2022, the previous version of that, the same condition was there. So in that, there were in the top 400 only, we found that 8 Indian universities there. Now, as foreign campuses will be opened, these foreign campuses operating in India, if they have good reputation, if they have credible reputation, their good rankings will bring India also in the list of countries having the institutions in top rankings. Fine. So this is which is going to help. Next thing, guys, that comes in this particular direction. Okay, just a minute. Now, I have told you this particular thing, that as these universities will come, they have been given autonomy to design their own courses. So course diversity, urban designing, fashion designing, these courses they can introduce. And as we already discussed this particular thing, that in India, a lot of brain drain has happened because Indian youth, they are migrating outside. So that brain drain can also be arrested. Okay, already 5 lakh Indian students migrated in 2022. Fine, and the data is taken from Bureau of Immigration. So this brain drain can also be arrested. Okay, and then all other advantages will also be there for this particular development. For example, it will help in human capital generation. So our youth, when they will get quality education, their better human capital development will happen, and ultimately their development, skill development, vocational development will lead to utilization of demographic dividend. Next thing, it will help in saving foreign exchange. When we have seen this thing, 5 lakh Indian students are emigrating outside. Okay, and understand this particular thing, then when the fees is to be paid in foreign currency, the foreign exchange reserves of India are also going down in this particular direction. In this direction, UGC specifically has given some data and provided that around 28 to 30 billion dollar they outflew, particularly because of higher education. So this foreign exchange reserve can be protected, and then it will also be enhancing soft power of India. See this thing, many neighboring countries of India, for example, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, countries of Africa, now living standards in Western countries are very high, and many a number of times, in order to pursue higher education, they cannot approach these countries. But if foreign universities open their campus in India, basically these students from other countries, underdeveloped countries, will be able to come in India to get education, and at the end of the day, soft power of India will obviously be increased. Okay, so these are all the benefits. However, some concerns, some concern areas are also there which are needed to be addressed. Number one, that still regulatory path fine. Still regulatory path is not very clear, and this entire development is not happening through a legislative step. A law for this particular thing has not been has been provided. Because of that particular thing, a lot of things will be under the domain of executive, and therefore clarity might not be there as how this entire process will be operating. Then there is actually a multiplicity of regulation. Multi-layered regulatory environment is there. There are multiple bodies. For example, UGC is there, technical education AICTE is there, okay, National Medical Commission is there for the medical education. So there are multiple regulatory bodies, and how they will be able to bear with such kind of a compliances, this is an issue. Regulatory board, basically there is a multiple regulatory bodies looking in investment also. So the money that they will be bringing in investment, it also has to go across a lot of compliances. Fine. The next issue that is there in this issue, in this development, is that there is security clause in this particular scheme. Now the security clause simply means that these institutions, these university cannot offer any course that might jeopardize national interest. Okay, now what's the meaning of national interest? This word is very ambiguous. Okay, and on that particular thing, it has been provided that universities which are universities fine can be targeted by the political interest often because of such vague provision that's there. The next issue is there. Education might be very much expensive. When we talk about India, guys, the per capita income of India is still very much less. Okay, per capita income of India is still in the range of 1,000 to $1,200, and there these people will not be able to afford such education. So therefore, will it actually be of some importance or not? This is highly doubtful. So this is about this particular issue, guys. As we have discussed about the UGC, little bit I want to tell you about UGC, because on statutory body, earlier questions have been asked in prelims examination. So UGC, it was established in 1953, and it is under Ministry of Education. It is a statutory body. It is a statutory body as it got a statutory status under UGC Act of 1956. And what are the major functions of UGC? Number one, promoting and coordinating university education, determining and maintaining these standards. Grants or the funding are also given on the recommendations of UGC, and it advises center government, state government with respect to the higher education's development in India. So all these are the functions of UGC. Now here, guys, you can also try to practice one mains question on this particular dimension. And the question is, with regard to status of higher education in India, examine the need for collaboration with foreign institutions around world. So this will be question for GS paper number 2, a 10 marker question. Fine. So that is all about this particular article. And now we'll move to next article. Fine. So this article is also taken from Indian Express newspaper. Okay. And the article is actually mentioning about Sagol Kangjei. Sagol Kangjei. Now, in prelims examination, art and culture section, this is a very important article. Why? Because earlier on such lines, questions have been asked. Question on Kalaripattu has come, and many other sports also, cultural activities question has come. Now, why Sagol Kangjei is in news? Because, guys, recently the Home Minister of India has inaugurated a statue of players. Okay, and that statue of player has been showcased playing Sagol Kangjei, and there is a lot of relevance of this sport, Sagol Kangjei. Now Sagol Kangjei, it is indigenous sport of Manipur, and this sport is being referred that this sport has been the precursor of modern day polo. So polo sport, which is played fine while on the horses. So its genesis is in Sagol Kangjei, and Sagol Kangjei, Manipur ponies are used for this particular sport, and mention of Sagol Kangjei is as old as 14th century, and recently the statue of a player sitting on a Manipuri pony and playing this Sagol Kangjei was inaugurated by the Home Minister. So therefore, it has been there in the news. Now, guys, when we talk about Manipur Pony, It is out of the 5 recognized equine breeds, okay, and it has a very important cultural significance in Manipur, okay. So therefore it is not just a sporting activity, but culturally also it's important, and mythological significance is also, okay, above of the Manipur ponies, and because of that particular thing they have a important cultural significance. Fine. Now when we talk about the Manipur ponies, which have been showcased in this statue, according to the livestock census, their population has gone down. Fine, because of that particular thing, their population is under threats. State government for conservation of Manipur pony has also come out with a dedicated law, that is Manipur Pony Conservation and Development Policy 2016. Okay. Further, in order to help their conservation, marging polo complex has been developed. So these are all the steps which have been taken in order to conserve the Manipur pony, which is associated with the Sagol Kangjei. So in prelims examination, such questions have been asked in prelims examination in art and culture. So please, we need to be very mindful about it. Now here we can also take some other indigenous games, fine, that were there in the news in last 8 to 10 months. For example, we have Gatka of Punjab, Kelaru Pattu of Kerala, Malkhambh of Madhya Pradesh, Thangta of Manipur, Silambam of Tamil Nadu, Paika Akhada of Odisha, Heko in Nagaland. Okay. And as we are talking about the sports, there is one particular dedicated scheme also for the sports that we have. It's Khelo India. Khelo India. Now on schemes also, many number of times questions are asked in the examination. So Khelo India, it's a central sector scheme under Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. Okay. And this particular Khelo India scheme particularly caters the youth in the age group of 10 to 18 years, and dedicated financial assistance is provided to potential players. Annual financial aid for 8 years is provided. National physical fitness campaign is started as a part of a Khelo India, and dedicatedly 20 universities will be promoted as centers of excellence, which will provide state of art infrastructure for sports. Fine. So the Khelo India also we are taking up. So that is all about this particular article. And the next article now we are going to take is from PIB, Press Information Bureau. And this article, it talks about the inauguration of Y20 Summit. Y20 Summit. So Y20 Summit, what it means? Y20 stands for Youth 20. Youth 20. Okay. So Youth 20 Summit, guys, has actually been launched recently by Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, and it is actually the official youth engagement under G20, group of 20. So you might be knowing this thing that recently India assumed presidency of G20, and as India will be the president for 2023, so we are going to carry more than 200 engagements under G20. 200 actually meetings will happen, and many engagement groups will be formed. Out of the engagement groups, youth engagement group is being referred as Y20. Now in this Y20 summit, India will focus specifically on youth leaders. So youth leaders across the world, they'll be called in India, and they will be deliberating, they'll be brainstorming on some important themes. So we have launched 4 themes under Y20 summit, and these themes are particularly, guys, can also be the topics which can be asked in exam as an essay. So you need to keep it in your mind. So the 4 themes are: number 1, future of work, industry 4.0, innovation and 21st century skills. Okay, future of work, industry 4.0. Now fourth industrial revolution, which will be powered by artificial intelligence, machine to machine learning, okay, machine to machine learning, all driverless cars. This is going to be the next industrial revolution. Now India had missed earlier 3 revolutions, but we want to leverage fourth industrial revolution that is now coming. So how India and other countries, like-minded countries, can facilitate the fourth industrial revolution, that is going to be an important theme. Next theme will be climate change and disaster risk reduction, making sustainability a way of life. Now, the world particularly the island nations, are exposed to climate change, particularly because of the sea level that is rising. According to IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, sixth assessment report, it has been provided that temperature by 1.5 degrees Celsius will increase before 2040 if we go business as usual approach. So these island nations will be impacted. Much more vagaries such as tsunamis, cyclones, tropical cyclones will become more intense. So how in the wake of climate change and disaster reduction can be carried, how sustainable living can be made as a way of life. Then third is peace building and reconciliation, ushering in an era of no war. So particularly as Russia-Ukraine war is now going on, so peace, find how to bring peace, how to embolden the pillars of peace becomes very important. This is the third theme. And the fourth theme is shared future, youth in democracy and governance and health, well-being and sports agenda for youth. So how youth can play an important role in democratic movements, governance, in promoting health. Okay. So how youth can play an important role. So these are four themes, and all these four themes, the young youth leaders out from 20 countries, G20 countries, they will come, they will brainstorm, and they'll be coming innovative solutions in this particular direction. Now, if little bit we talk about the G20, so G20 was formed in 1999 in the backdrop of Asian financial crisis. So at that point of a time, G20 was envisaged as a platform where the countries can come together and will share their expertise so that again such kind of a crisis should not be there. In G20, it is an intergovernmental forum having 19 countries and European Union. Okay, the summit is held annually, particularly 2008 onwards, and the presidency is rotated, and now India is president. Now, as we talk about G20, so within G20, there are on two tracks diplomacy is carried. First is the finance track, which is led by finance minister and central bank governors. Okay, then there is a Sherpa track. So Sherpa track is led by civil servants. Fine, it is led by civil servants. Okay, it's led by the civil servants. Okay, representatives of the state, bureaucrats, etc. Fine, and then there are engagement groups which bring civil societies, the parliamentarians, women, fine business, fine other researchers, and all such kind of a bodies together. So as we are talking about this particular development, this Y20, it is an engagement group of youth. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular development. Now there is one prelims question that you can practice. The prelims question is, which of the following nations are the part of G20? So in past multiple number of times organization or grouping based questions have been there. So fine, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Russia, India, US, China, and you have here the options. Fine. Now you need to choose the correct option. So just you can pause the video, you can mark your answer. Fine. Now the correct answer will be D, and here you can see the map of all G20 countries that we have. Now moving on. So this article we have taken from Hindustan Times. So guys, basically what has happened, Joshimath in Uttarakhand, all the developmental activities in Joshimath has been banned, they have been stopped. People from particular regions, they are being they are being rescued, they are being evacuated. Why? Because the Joshimath, it is sinking. Now why it's sinking, all these particular things we'll see with respect to GS paper number 1, geographical phenomena. Now first of all, what has happened, what's the present news? So Uttarakhand government has banned all construction work around the Joshimath. Fine. There's a land subsidence going on. Fine. Now there is the protest also that are being carried by the local people. Fine. By the local people in past also the protests have been carried. So let's understand that why Joshimath is sinking, why subsidence of land is going on. But before that, little bit from with respect to the prelims examination, let's see some of basic details about Joshimath. So Joshimath is a town that is located in Chamoli district in Uttarakhand, and it is in Garhwal Himalayas. It is the part, it comes in Garhwal Himalayas. We also have certain rivers and streams around Joshimath. So these are the important rivers and streams. For example, Karmansa, Dhankala. Now Karmansa and Dhankala, these are two important streams which are on west and eastern side of Joshimath. Dholi Ganga and Alaknanda rivers are also they are also around the Joshimath. So Dholi Ganga and Alaknanda, these are the rivers on south and north. Fine, Dholi Ganga and Alaknanda south and north. So these are the important rivers, and many of it is Joshimath is also home to many of ancient Hindu temples, Narsimha temple, okay, Kalpavriksha temple, all these temples. Now, what's the issue? Why Joshimath is facing land subsidence? So basically, guys, land subsidence that is happening here, it's not a new phenomena. It has been flagged as early as 1976 by Mishra Commission report. Now the issue is this, that when we talk about the Joshimath region, you need to understand little bit about the geography of this particular region. So the Joshimath, it's covered with large boulders of gneiss, schistose rocks. Okay, when we talk about the gneiss is a metamorphic form of granites. Okay, now the problem is that there are the boulders of stones, and these boulders of stones, they are embedded in silt and sand. Okay, so rocks, they are embedded in sand and silt. Because of this particular thing, when the river comes, okay, or because if there is any tectonic shift, what happens, the bonds that are there, they become loose, they broke down, and subsidence of land, submergence of land happens. Okay, and this is something that has happened. So therefore this entire town is vulnerable to sinking. Why? Because solid foundation is lacking. Okay, boulders, stones, and silt and sand, it's the majorly foundation on which this entire town is situated. Now at the same time, there are perennial streams which are eroding the silt and the sands. Fine. Moreover, in the past, in 2013 and 2021 also, there was big flooding that has happened in the region. Because of that also, integrity of foundation of Joshimath has been compromised a lot. And because of that particular thing, what had happened, the cohesive characteristics, cohesive means which joins the different elements in the ground. So cohesive elements, they have become very weak, and subsistence of land is happening here. Now, according to Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority, let me use a different color pen. Okay, so according to Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority, this entire town is located in area prone to landslides. And when the landslides happen, they further aggravate this particular situation. Now, in past, glacial lake glacial lake bursts have also happened, which have led to floods. And because of that flood also, erosion of silt, fine sand has happened. Cohesion of the foundation has become even more compromised. Now a question comes that what is the glacial lake floods or glacial lake bursts? So basically, in the Himalayas, there are glaciers which are melting, and as these glaciers are melting, the water, it is getting the water, it is being entrapped in structures which makes lakes. Now often these lakes, they are held together by loose gravels, stones, pebbles, etc. Now often what happens, when the melt of glacier increases, and when the quantity of water in these structures increase, what happens, they breach these gravel, sand, pebbles, etc. And as this structure gets breached, it gets compromised, it leads to sudden floods. So over the last few years, glacial lake outburst floods also have happened, which has made this entire region unstable. Fine, this entire region has become fragile. Moreover, apart from this particular vulnerability, the seismic load, okay, has also increased in this particular region. Multi-story buildings, hotels, resorts, etc. have been constructed. Because of that particular thing also, the structural integrity of the foundation, which was already weak, it has been compromised. Okay, so this is the reason that this entire region is facing the issues. So as the region's foundation has been compromised, landslides are very frequent, which are leading to all such kind of a problems such as road blocks, destruction of railway lines, blocking, diversions, etc. Now, what can be mitigation that can be recommended in this particular direction? So as we talk about the mitigation aspect, so it also becomes important for disaster management GS paper number 3. Disaster Management GS paper number 3. So basically I had basically given a kind of a I have given a detailed framework of mitigation measures. So number one, we can take landslide hazard vulnerability and risk assessment. So we need to carry a detailed study with respect to the areas which are more vulnerable to such kind of shocks, to such landslides, etc. Multi-hazard conceptualization can be done. Flooding, landslides, earthquake, multiple hazards, if they come together, how they'll be intermingling with each other. So multi-hazard conceptualization, landslide remediation practices, how the landslides can be remedied, what can be the corrective steps, corrective measures that can be taken, research and development of monitoring and early warning system needs to be deployed, even so that if a landslide comes, if there is some issue, okay, if such kind of a land subsidence that happened, it happens again, then people can be warned. Knowledge network and management, okay, capacity building and training of people who are living there, communities needed to be involved in mock drills, they are needed to be given best of the practice, they need to be taught best of the art practices which they can follow in the times if such kind of a crisis comes. Public awareness and education is very important, emergency preparedness and regulation and enforcement. So these are the issues that can be taken up. And one practice question in this particular direction: which of the following organization responsible for carrying out landslide zonations in India? So you have four options: Indian Institute of Forest Management, Wildlife Institute of India, Geological Survey of India, National Disaster Management Authority. You can pause, fine, and you can mark your answer. However, the right answer is C. So you can just see the responsibilities of Geological Survey of India. So, and guys, here there is a possible case study also that can be asked on this particular direction, because in past UPSC has asked such kind of a case study based answer questions as well. So you can pause the video, and these are the possible questions that can be asked from the case study. You can try attempting it, and if you attempt it, please try to write it in the comment box. I'll try to give you some feedback on that also. That is all guys about it, and you can download this entire PDF from the Unacademy Sahil Saini channel. Link for the channel has been given in description box. So that is all for today. Thank you so much.